Oh, I need my laptop. Sorry. We're live, apparently, except it's pointing the wrong way. Why is it pointing the wrong way?
Little thing up the top right-hand corner.
There you go. Are you logged into anything, Dan?
Am I logged in?
Yeah.
I'm on the. I'm just waiting for the notification that we've gone live.
Right.
So here we go.
Pretty sure we're live. It's good. Hello, welcome to the live stream, everybody. I don't know if I need to turn you up. You've got an internal fan now as well.
Oh, brilliant. That is so funny.
Great. Good. Welcome to the live stream, everybody.
Yes, welcome.
Is it working? Is Dan louder than me? Am I louder than Dan? Let us know. Let us know. Right. Keep talking, Dan.
Dan's looking rather square, it's saying. Dan looks bloated. Hope everything's okay. I've been bulking up. Sponge Dan SquarePants. That's brilliant. Hey guys, hope everyone is okay. This is great. Yeah, so obviously we're being very good boys and we are going to work out how we can do this and be, not being physically near Mick is challenging for me.
What are you talking about? I feel you. How's the framing, Bebbers?
Good.
Yeah? Okay.
There you go. Needless to say, this is all Mick's handiwork. He just called me. So he just said, put your head in this box. That's hilarious. Dan's been sucked into Tron to fight the Master Control program. There we go. Yeah, cool. Dan's magical illuminated navel.
Bit of a weird EQ as well. I've just turned you up a bit.
Can you turn the brightness down a bit on him?
Brightness down.
He's a bit hot.
How's that? Is that better?
Yep.
This is ridiculous. Can I just take a minute to say how much I hate the beta version of YouTube Studio?
You've mentioned that once or twice in a couple of text messages.
Yes.
You've been rather colourful.
Yes.
In your description of the back end of the beta version of YouTube.
It just doesn't work.
Well, we got there in the end. And I must say, on the screen, I think you look fantastic.
I haven't got there. I can't get to the live stream.
Do you want me to do it?
I have to go back to Create Studio Classic because it's not available from YouTube Beta. Any other content creators out there having problems with this? Keep the people entertained, Dan, while I try and work it out.
I can. Okay, I'm going to do a little dance. Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So how is everyone? How has everyone's been up? It's so weird because this is the proper first. I mean, we're doing a little bit of isolation, I guess you could say, last week, but this has been the proper first day. Like Monday today, everyone's sort of in their spaces, and I barely made it through the weekend. It was just a normal weekend. That I wouldn't have done anything different anyway. Man, I am struggling.
Are you?
I am. I really am.
God, I'm the opposite.
But this is like manna from heaven for you, isn't it?
I'm absolutely loving it. But then we should start by saying, not trying to gloss over the seriousness of the situation. Lots of people have died, and that is really, really awful. So
I've just realised you put a T-shirt over a speaker so that you can hear me. Is that right?
that's correct. Yeah. What I was just talking about lots of people dying from coronavirus, Dan.
Sorry. Okay. Yes, you were. Yes, you were.
Anyway, no, it is very serious, but the isolation has been wonderful. Catherine and I live in the middle of nowhere, and it's been awesome. So, what is weird though, I went to Sainsbury's this morning to pick up some essentials, because it's okay to pick up essentials, and Sainsbury's was full of stuff. So I think different areas are affected in different ways.
Right.
And I get it. If you're actually in the house because you live in a fairly built up area, it's tough. It must be tough.
Sure.
Do you know what I did
So
yesterday?
I figure if I put my iPad on this side, it's going to look like a little bit more like I'm looking at you.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
All right.
How are you? Are you there yet, Mick? Have you found it yet?
I found it, and everything is good.
Awesome.
So let's start by saying we're going to answer a few questions that came in on YouTube over the weekend. It was a massively viewed video, partly because it was a great video and partly because loads of people are indoors thanks to good old COVID-19. It was where Dan and I met up with Josh Scott and we went to Macaris in London to do a special on tone benders.
Yes.
And very interesting it was too.
That was wonderful. Yeah,
it was really cool. Really, really cool. Lots of very nice comments. So let's get to it then. I'll get to some questions in a minute. Simon Keast says, all I can say is thank God for guitars, amps and pedals in these times. Stay healthy, gents. Thank you, Simon.
Thank you, Simon.
Likewise to everybody out there as well. Yeah, it's great. I actually stayed in all day yesterday and spent about 8 hours programming drums for a track that I'm doing. So that was good.
How are you programming your drums?
Just using the piano roll editor in Logic.
So you're actually creating grooves on a piano and doing stuff like that?
No, not on a piano. If you open up what's called the piano roll in Logic,
right,
and you
on that,
you load in, instead of using the Logic drummer, you set up a new virtual instrument track using the drum kit from the EXS24 sampler, I think it is.
Right.
Instead of using the drummer, and then you just get a grid and you can just put your bass drum in where you want it and the snares, and I've been doing diddly bubs and everything.
Wow.
Yeah, it's cool. Really like it.
That is very cool.
Yeah, so hopefully, had a busy day today, but over the next couple of days, I'm hoping to get most of the rest of it tracked.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah, it's good. I don't have the bravery to vlog it like you've been doing, but...
yeah, I'm all warts and all. I'm in the... I've done the drums recording, and Fraser's drums sound so good, but I'm actually now doing guitar parts, and boy, oh boy.
Yeah.
It's really challenging. Because I've got some good monitors. I just bought some Focal 50s.
Yeah.
And man alive, I can hear everything. It's like, oh dear.
Yeah.
Like the way Fraser has recorded the drums is absolutely remarkable. And trying to record guitars at home to get anything that sounds like awesome guitars like we're used to, boy oh boy. It's so I've got a bunch of things I'm trying.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I'm just sort of waiting for you to give up on virtual amps and guitars and come here and record all the guitars. I'm waiting for that phone call.
Well, to be honest, we'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see. TCM, thank you, TCM. He hasn't said anything. He just said, "Here you go, boys."
Bless you.
Bless you.
Okay. Blah blah blah.
Yes, the Friday show. What were the main questions?
The main topics of question were. Go on. Say you were going to say ooh.
Just going to say yes. Well, one question that kept coming up was people were concerned that we were not social distancing.
Yes.
But it's important that everyone knows that we recorded this 3 weeks ago.
Yes, by a complete roll of the dice, fluke, happenstance, we happen to have 7 weeks worth of shows in the can. because
Oh,
we went filming crazy. And then
we did.
literally the last day we had Rabia Masad here. I think on the day that they started saying things like you should start social distancing. So we sent Rabia home, and that was that.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've got 7 weeks. So you will see 7 weeks worth of TPS content coming up, and everyone will be going, "Hang on a minute, shouldn't you be social distancing?" Well, it was all filmed last week, before last week. So happy days.
Very good.
Yep. Who else have we got in here then? TCM. TCM's just done another $5. TCM, thank you.
That's very kind, TCM. Thank you.
Yeah.
Barney Miller has said, "Love your show. Love JHS too. Even though I can't afford his pedals, but I can afford to throw some dosh. Stay safe. Keep rocking." Yes, thank you, Barney, and you stay safe too, mate. Yeah, boy, oh boy, I've never really felt like, people say we're all in this together, but we really are all in this together.
We are.
Yeah.
I hope that once it's all done, there might be some small sense of, I don't know, bit more spirit among humans.
I think, you know what, I kind of get the sense that there is because this is a global thing and we are all experiencing this at the same time. I kind of think that it's something that, as horrible and sad, these cases, and it really is awful, but there is something now that we all have in common. We're all living through this together.
Yeah.
So hopefully, not to get on a soapbox about it, but it just, no matter who you are, no matter what walk of life you come from, this is a shared, and something that we can all relate to in the future.
Oh yeah, I do hope so.
Yeah, can you dust that off my shoulder? Thank you, buddy.
Yeah, sorry, I was just trying to alter your volume a bit there, Dan. You seem to have developed an internal fan as well.
Oh.
How is that?
No, that was last night's curry. It's working its way through.
Oh, hang on, I've turned you down too much. There you go. Right, so the main topics of questioning were, we will get to the live chat and all of that as we go. S. Bray, I thought summed the whole thing up, said, "Tone Bender is the catalyst of modern rock diverging from pop."
Very interesting.
Yeah, I thought that was a really interesting way to look at it.
Mm.
Because, I mean, you think about it, it could be that it was a coincidence, given that it was 1965, and, that was the sort of dawn of it all, really.
Yeah.
In the UK, anyway. And the Tone Bender happened to be there right in the middle of it, as did the Fuzz Face and other things. But
what a year, though. That to be around 65, 66, when all that was going on and hearing these sounds for the first time.
Yeah.
Just remarkable.
Must have been like hearing Taylor Swift for the first time, I reckon. So, among the various...
We are going to get her on the show one day.
Yeah, maybe when she's on the way down. And she needs to promote her 58th album, her sort of acoustic blues album. Okay, one key thing that we were asked, Vinicus Marcillo, Blues Room 1, 19 Mark Z, Tan, Santiago Vasquez, and Clement Gonod, among many, many others, were asking, what's the name of the yellow book you're browsing at the beginning of the episode?
Ah, yes.
It is?
It is called Level and Attack by
11 Publishing.
11 Publishing. I was going to say 13, but that's wrong. 11 Publishing.
Yeah.
There should be a link to it in the description, I'm assuming.
There isn't, because they are sold out.
Oh, okay. Yes, of course.
There aren't any more. So it was a limited edition book that 11 Publishing did in cahoots with Macaris there, and it is an astonishing piece of work.
I think it has some of the best photography I've ever seen on a gear book.
Yeah, it's very nice.
There's absolutely... The close-ups of the components and things is just stunning.
They bought a macro lens. Yeah, it's good. I mean, the production values of the book are insane, so maybe there's hope for a slightly less amazingly printed one, like a softback or something. Don't know.
Yeah, because there's so much great information in there apart from just the incredible photos.
Okay, Mark Frankel. Thank you for that, Mark. Mark wants to know, greetings from lockdown Brooklyn, New York. Yeah, greetings to everybody who's locked down across the world. Here's 20 for an improved Dan dummy. I think he looks pretty good. He's like...
They're looking good. They're looking good.
Thoughts on wet dry from the same stereo cab. Didn't think of this till VCQ, where you said that stereo spread is not a requirement. So Mark's asking, can you do wet dry using one cabinet that's split into stereo? Like quite a lot of Marshall 412s are split that way. The Marshall 212, whatever it is usually split that way, has a switch on the back. Dan?
Yeah, you totally can. And it's one thing about doing it that way, which is really good, is that you know that the speakers are in line with each other.
Yeah.
And so it can work really well. It's a different experience to having the amps separated.
Yeah.
But it can work fantastic. If you've got... Because I used to do this. I used to run a stereo 4x12 rig. And you can get some great sounds out of it. But yeah, doing the wet dry thing into a stereo cab will work brilliantly.
Yeah. I've got little dreams of... I should have got it, but Anderton's had a second-hand Mesa Boogie 50/50 stereo power amp.
With the closed back and open back sections.
And sitting that on one of those old Mesa 412s, that would be a rig. That would be a rig.
Yeah.
Dan and I are going to start a campaign to bring the 412 back, by the way. It's been away long enough. People have decided they don't like 412s. So we're going to make 412s great again. Because
we are indeed.
There will be a resurgence. It's coming soon. We're coming to the end of people going, you know what, this little thing in a box just doesn't do it for me anymore. What I need is a 412. Let's hurry that up, Dan.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm in.
Yeah.
I've just had a thought. Okay, no, that's for another time. But yes.
Okay.
I'm there. I'm right there.
Nico Loza says, thanks for the help and getting me and all of us through this. Love you guys. We love you too. And
thank you, Nico.
If us just being around helps that a little bit, then great. If you're going stir crazy, stuck in, as Dan is there, I'm very lucky. We live in the middle of nowhere and nobody works here. So Catherine and I can just carry on as normal. We can just travel, work and go home again. So it doesn't feel that weirdly different. So
Kevin Glancy has said, everyone says digital Dan sounds just as good as analog Dan, but I prefer analog Dan. It's more of a feel thing. Much love and stay safe.
Yeah, you should say.
I'm going through so many ADDA converters by the time I get to you.
Yeah.
I'm feeling it.
You're actually recording this yesterday, aren't you? This goes to 11. Thank you. Says, my favourite channel on YouTube. Thank you for teaching me about great tones and helping me enjoy guitar even more. Stay safe, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's very kind of you. Right. A couple of other topics that came up repeatedly in the comments over the weekend. C. Dobbs 7977, Todd Kozik, A. Joep, Keith Faust, Kid Gloves 2, Emmanuel Can't Play, and Cheddar Kung Pao Hello Dave says, Josh, any chance of a multi-tone bender in the spirit of the Muffletta or Bonsai? So people are saying, can he do what he did with the Muffletta and the Bonsai? So for those of you that don't know, the Muffletta puts loads of big muff variants into one box, and the Bonsai puts loads of
Very interesting.
Tube screamers into one box. So people are saying, could Josh put all the tone benders into one box and call it, for example, the Buzzfug? Says CD Cobb 7977.
I mean, if you can do it with the big muff, I don't see why I couldn't do it with that. It's a much, much simpler circuit than the big muff or the tube screamer. The difficulty is that so much of the variant is in the nature of the different transistors they were using. A lot of the circuits are very, very similar. Like, for example, I've got a couple of Mark II variants from Pig Dog pedals, and they sound drastically different. The circuit's almost identical.
Right.
So I think the challenge is with the old transistors, because don't forget those. If think of just sourcing those old transistors now is so challenging.
Yeah, that's the thing that's amazed me. We'll come on to this in a bit, but in fact, let's do it now. Brian Carpenter, Dirk Pitt, Guitar John, Ricky Kent, Marco Bruder, Ben Watson, Ken Winston, Dominic von Riedemann, Philip Aspey, Fatel Vishgai, David Dite, and Chris Carter, among others, want to know about can we do a show on modern versions of tone benders?
Yeah,
Round
definitely.
them up, see what we like the sound of.
Yeah, I've got a bunch of them. They're great. I have to see if we can get a Sunbender from Analog Man for it though.
Yeah,
because that is an absolute corker. But no, I do have a bunch of them. There's some really, really great ones out there.
Yeah.
But isn't that funny? I mean, there's such an amazing, it is that whole other yin to the yang of the fuzz face, because it is totally a vintage. It totally, as soon as you hear that sound, you are reminded of all these albums and things that's appeared on.
Yeah.
And trying to same thing as with any vintage pedal, trying to actually nail that and what it is that makes it awesome is really, really tricky.
Not least that all the old ones sound different.
Exactly.
So I don't know where the sort of yardstick is as to, we find this. I've got probably 10 different fuzz face types and they all sound different. They all feel different. Once you record them and smash a Strat through the Marshall at patent pending, they all sound broadly the same. But then when you roll the volume back it's the inflection.
Yeah. It's using dynamics and things with them.
Yeah, you hit that particular note that you like there and that one does it really well and that one doesn't do it really well. And that's going to vary from player to player. So it is a bit of a, what's the word, a crapshoot? Is that what they say?
Yes.
In America?
Crapshoot.
Yes. Adam Stewart.
As opposed to a crab shoot, which I thought it was for a long time.
You shouldn't shoot crabs.
Which you shouldn't shoot crabs.
No.
But,
not really.
Apparently that's not, it's a crap shoot.
Okay. Yeah, because craps, isn't it? The game?
Yeah.
Adam Stewart. Thank you, Adam. He says, curious if you have any plans to feature any of the new Shin and Prescription Electronics reissues. Cheers. Love you guys. We love you too. Yes, we'd like to do all those things.
Would indeed.
We just need to get our hands on them.
Yes. Magnus Bradson says, new Macari, tried it at their factory. Loved it. That's awesome, Magnus. We need to get on that.
Yeah. Nick Larson says, hello from Chicago. Hello, Chicago. Love my Jam Rattler, but I have trouble getting the volume at Unity with my Les Paul. No issue with my telly. Is it a headroom issue? Are you saying that it doesn't quite go loud enough there, Nick? Are you running it into a crunchy amp would be my first question.
Yeah, good shout.
Because if you're running it into a cleaner amp, there should be plenty of headroom there.
Yeah.
It's not, to be fair, it's not like the Rattler isn't a super loud pedal like most JHS pedals are, or like a Klon is, but you should be able to go above Unity.
Yeah, mine's thumping loud with the telly.
Yeah. So is the Les Paul overdriving it in a way that stops it from getting really loud, maybe?
Try turning, when you're using the Les Paul, just try turning the gain down a little bit.
Gadzooks, turn the gain down. What is this strange electronic fan-driven Dan talking about?
Don't shoot crabs. Oh no, Steve. Now, no, that's not going to happen.
Dead Whack 66 on the chat says, how many pedals does one really need? As many as you need.
If you can look at the shelves in the back wall, that's a good start.
Yeah, we don't need them all, that's for sure. But we also don't need many things in our lives, but we have them anyway.
George Rubiales says, have you tried the Dunlop Mini Wah? I have, and it's fantastic. It sounds great.
Gary Mosley says, you're going to clash with Boris's lockdown statement. Hello, Gary. Yes, that's important to watch the latest information, but given that you're being bombarded with it 24/7, I also advise some time off.
Yeah, and it will be
depressing.
you'll be able to head straight back to that after you watch this.
Yeah.
What are you doing directly after this, Mick?
I'm hopefully going to do some tracking of my track, maybe.
Awesome.
Why is that?
Well, I just was wondering, because I've heated up the spa.
Oh, have you?
I have.
I can enjoy that.
Sitting up with Zach, and yeah.
I can enjoy that vicariously from here.
Yeah. That's a whole different webcam thing, though.
Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't. It's 6 o'clock, so 6 o'clock UK time. So I might just go home and watch a bit of television. I bought the most fantastic pair of hi-fi speakers, Daniel.
What'd you get?
They are B&W DM14s from between. I think they were produced between 1979 and 1984.
Well, proper vintage ones.
So, Catherine bought me a turntable for my birthday, and I've been wanting some extra speakers. And anyway, in a idiotic switch around of our home cinema stuff, hi-fi stuff, I decided that what I really needed was a pair of vintage B&W speakers.
Right.
And they sound unbelievable.
Really?
Yeah. They're not ideally positioned at the moment because they're sort of in the corner of a room, but man, I am hearing stuff on records and CDs that I just don't hear unless I listen on reference monitor headphones.
So riddle me this. Now, because I've just got these focal monitors, and it's not necessarily a pleasant listening experience, but the detail that I'm hearing is crazy. So is that the difference between monitors and a good hi-fi system, is that it does become a pleasant listening experience?
Yeah, a lot of people say this. A lot of people ask the question, well, why do you need great monitors if all you're going to do is play it back on crappy stereos and iPhones? When I first got my DTA 80 Pro headphones, everything sounded kind of awful.
Right.
Sounded, I don't mean recorded music, but everything that I was trying to record sounded awful. I got to the point now where I can make it sound the same on the DTA 80s as it does out of the monitors, as it does elsewhere, pretty much. And I think the point is, if you can make it sound great on a really revealing either set of cans or monitors, then it's going to sound good on something else.
Right.
I don't know. It's not something that I know very much about. I'm not exactly a mixer or a producer. That's more Fraser's end of things. But I do find that if the speakers themselves enable you to hear everything just gets better. One thing I can hear on these, I mean, bear in mind they were made between 79 and 84. I'm not sure when. They're in remarkably good condition. So I reckon they were just in someone's home and barely never used.
Wow.
I can hear crappy reverb plugins. And I'm going, oh man, they went way overboard on that.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, it's not quite that experience we had at Hardfi or Hardoff in Japan.
In Japan, I'll never forget that.
It ain't that.
We were reminiscing with Rabir about that last week, and it just gave me a whole new perspective on listening to stuff. So I'll never forget that. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's not quite that, but it's, you're on the way to that. Be interesting to hear some of your mixes once you get the monitors dialed in. Yeah.
Well, I've got to get some. I just found out last night about foam. I've got to be sat on some acoustic foam, so that doesn't couple to the desk.
Those bits of plastic that cost 90 quid that you go, how on earth do they cost 90 quid? They're really worth buying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Andrew Bentley has just said, if I have an always-on pedal, will I still see a benefit from a buffer? I'm using a broadcast or effectro drive always on, plus 6 other true bypass pedals. So if those pedals are after your always-on pedal, then the output impedance from your always-on pedal will happily drive your true bypass pedals. Now, just check the output impedance of those, and if it's if you're normally about 1K output impedance, you are golden. And if it's much higher than that and you have a long signal chain, then you might for continuity you might want to experiment with a buffer at the end. But if either of those two pedals, the impedance is low enough that it will very, very happily drive the any capacitance or any loading that's happened through those two bypass pedals.
What was the question again?
It says, if I have an always-on pedal, will I still benefit from a buffer?
Right.
I'm using a broadcast or an effectro drive, always on, plus 6 other true bypass pedals.
I think that whole, sorry to add to what Dan just said, there often seems to be, will a buffer help my tone? And
yeah, right.
It depends what you want. Like, I've always thought with buffers is, if it sounds a bit cloaky and you're not getting the kind of presency, attack, sibilancy stuff off the top strings or off the wound strings maybe, then yeah, buffer might help you. If the thing is very present and kind of in your face and it's super bright, then you want less buffering. That's how it always feels to me.
Yeah. Also, if you're finding that the dynamics from your guitar feel limited, then you might have an issue with too much buffering. I guess the impedance being too low somewhere in the chain, messing up with the dynamics of your guitar. But buffers is a really interesting thing. I think I'd like to do an in-depth show on them, and because we have looked at them before. I think we could probably do a better job now.
We definitely could,
and it'd be worth revisiting that. As a matter of fact, this is I got a question for you guys, because there's a bunch of shows that we've done in the old place, because we're Mick and I have got so many ideas for shows, but looking at some of the old shows that we've done and some really interesting topics, we're saying there's so many things that we could revisit. If there's anything in particular that you would like us to revisit, please let us know. Throw it in the comment section. Because we want to make stuff that you guys want to interested in and have specific questions about.
And like you said, we can probably do a better job of it now as well.
I think so. Yeah,
now that we have this environment and better recording facilities and all that kind of stuff. So,
Gary Mosley has said, so we'll have Strat vlogs coming out of our ears with all this free time on your hands now, Mick. Love the show. Mick will never have free time on his hands. I'm just going to put that down now. Mick will never, ever have free time on his hands.
But there is a period of breathing out, and thanks for that, Gary. And yes, there will be more Strat vlogs. The next installment of the Strat vlogs is going to be, I'm going to swap. At the moment, the Ron Ellis pickups are in the blue one, and the custom shops are in the Transit van. So I'm going to swap them over and have a quick listen to that. I might get into the aluminium shielding plate thing. I might, but a lot of people tell me that they just prefer it without it. So anyway, and then I've also got some Ron Ellis 5060s, which I'm either going to put in the black one or in the John Mayer one and have a listen to those as well. And I need to swap some of the plastics about because despite... Check out the cut. I mean, I don't know if you're going to be able to see on your tube, on our tube, but this pickguard is closer to the 61 in colour, right? But this one looks better on the Sonic Blue, and I think this one's going to look better on the black. So I'm going to swap the pickguards over, and I've got a couple more as well that are sort of in between. So there's going to be pickguard idiocy. I've also I don't know. I've filmed this, but I don't know if it's gone out yet. Where I talk about the knobs, and I've managed to get these knobs with the small numerals and the right shaped.
Who's making those?
I got these from Crazy Parts again.
Right.
Because the numerals are all completely wrong on these.
That is absolute incredible detail.
Yeah, I think have I put that out yet? I don't know. But once you see it, you can't unsee it. You see.
Right.
That is the problem. So anyway, yeah, more Strat vlogs upcoming. That said, I'm really very happy with the sound of Blue at the moment.
Blue is sounding incredible.
It definitely has that sort of post 64 tonality to it, rather than the
Right.
pre-CBS, sorry, the pre-64 kind of sound, or at least the pre-63 Lamb board sound, the 59 to 62 classic Strat era that you would think of. So I'm interested to hear the 50-60s in there and a couple of other things, and then I'm
Sure.
going to close the lid on it, and that is enough.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to concentrate on playing the guitar and getting SG.
Michael McKnight has just said, I'm new to that pedal show and have been watching your shows back to back. I've learned so much. Love your playing, sounds and banter. Thanks. Thank you, Michael. That's very generous of you, mate. Thank you. And welcome. And welcome to anyone that's new.
Yeah,
welcome
absolutely.
to anyone that's found us from
Absolutely welcome.
Recently, and that who are these galahs?
That was a proper Australianism. Do you remember Home and Away?
Stone the Crows, mate. Flame and galah.
Yeah, Alf, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Flame and galah. When I lived in London, our landlord was called Fleming. And my house,
You went to a gala.
my housemate Matt was obsessed with Home and Away and Alf, and he became Flame and Landlord. Weirdly, we lived in the house. We lived in the house where David Mellor was having his affair with Antonia de Sancha.
Really?
Yeah. That was a long time. That was a long time ago. Raunchy Like Your Sister says, here's $10. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you, Raunchy.
TCM, third time lucky, I hope. Anyhow, Mick, curious what you thought of that Sandy collector's choice. Also talking about the California Tweed Boogie amp that sat down here on the floor. The collector's choice was among the 5 best Les Pauls I've ever played, just to be reductive about it. It was
amazing.
Fantastic guitar. So yeah, I love them, but I just can't. If I'm stood up, it's fine. Sat down, just can't do it. So
yeah, it's a weird thing.
But I blooming love the sound of the things. How could anyone not love the sound of a Les Paul? Especially, what amazes me about the 59 types, 58s, the burst era ones, is how sensitive they are. Off the volume control, because of the 50s wiring, I guess, and a bunch of other things. But my first experience of a Les Paul was a mid-90s standard, and that thing was a Les Paul-shaped object. Loads of people love them, but for me, just was nothing like, like Dan's burst or like the other lovely bursts that I've played. Great thing. Maybe there'll be a Les Paul phase one day. I don't know.
Mm. Victor Gia says, which hard off was it? Maybe add the shops in the comments. I can't remember which hard off it was. Can you, Mick?
It was the most famous one. Shibuya, maybe? Something like that.
Right. Yeah, that sounds right.
I don't know. Can't remember. I bought that Eric Johnson fuzz face there.
No, you didn't. That was different.
The Eric Johnson fuzz face?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did. In Hardorf. Same place where we listened to the.
You got that. I thought you got that in. Oh, you did. Sorry, I'm thinking of something else. There was another.
Where you bought the DSD2 and all that. That was a different shop.
Yes, that's correct. That is correct. Yes.
Rufus1884 says the Tonebender episode was awesome. I was totally blown away by the Mark 1. Then a sad realization came over me that I'll never own one. Yeah, I know, but I feel the same way about vintage guitars, really brilliant cars and motorbikes. But you've got to experience them, haven't you? You
really do.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for
Bromiel
that,
says, you guys have done several flange episodes. What about a show on chorus beyond the boss choruses? Here's some cash for the Pro Junior Fund. Thank you, Ed. Yeah, I guess we are due a chorus show. Yeah, okay. Yeah, we can do that.
Macho Grande, thank you, Macho, says, cheers, fellas. I never miss a show. Mick, which Gibson SG are you going to buy? Probably a 61 custom shop style, either in Pelham Blue or in Cherry.
Which vibrato system has that got in it?
I don't mind anything but a Bigsby. So either the Maestro side to side one or the up and down one, doesn't really matter. I like the Derek Trucks back plate. I think they look really cool.
Right.
You know, where it goes all the way to the back. My knowledge isn't great, actually. To be fair, the modern standards look good. If I played the weird thing is, right, so they do the SG standard, the modern 2019, 2020 one with the Maestro and the Sideways. Or the Vibrola and the Maestro. I can't remember which way around it is. Anyway, they do them both. They're about £1,700, £1,600. And then the custom shop ones are $3,500.
Yeah.
So I need to play some and decide whether that extra cash is worth it. Don't know. The Derek Trucks one we had sounded pretty good to me.
Sounded great.
Yeah.
Whoopie neck.
Yeah, they've all got whoopie necks, really.
Mm.
I think 64 they made it fatter, didn't they?
Mm.
Maybe.
21st Century Industry says, question for Mick. Been watching TPS for a long time and have always loved the Travis picking lick. Is there a song that lick is from?
Oh my God, I don't know.
Ding, ding, diddle, 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 ding.
I actually don't know. It was my friend Simon Bradley used to play it in the office at Guitarist. Nice. Oh man. There's that one. And I think it's a bastardization of an old Chet song. I can't remember. I actually don't know. And then Seymour Duncan plays something similar in the Twang Bang Kerrang documentary that was on Channel 4 in about 1988, whenever that was.
Wow.
And it's, you know, it's reminiscent of all that 50s stuff. A lot of Scotty Moore stuff, although he never Travis picked like that. But those are the licks. Yeah.
Very cool. Swan Pond 14 says, greetings from Kentucky, USA. Love you guys. We love you too, Swan Pond. And thank you very much. That's very kind, very generous.
Hello, Kentucky. You've been to Kentucky, Dan?
No, I haven't.
I went there once. Weirdly, on the weekend of the Kentucky Derby.
Wow.
Yeah, assuming there is only one. I don't know. Maybe there is. Still got a chopping board in the house. I was there with... you remember James Brown, Custom Amps, when he was at Custom Amps?
Yes.
I went there to visit Custom Amps, and they gave me this platter of stuff, like some barbecue sauce and some whiskey and stuff like that, on this brown chopping board. Still got it.
Awesome.
In fact, I ate pizza off it on Saturday night. There we are.
Rufus 1884 says, the Tone Bender episode was awesome. I was totally blown away by the Mark I. Then a sad realization that I'll never own one crept over me. Anyway, stay safe. Yes, you can't...
Just read that one out, mate.
Oh, you've already done that one?
Yeah. That's good, though.
Didn't think you had.
Yeah, that's all right.
Okay.
Answer
right,
anyway,
sorry.
Dan. I don't think you answered. I think I rudely spoke across you.
Oh, okay. Okay. Oh, Boris is on 8:30 tonight. So there we go. We'll be finished in plenty of time.
Yeah. Hopefully I'll be tracking bass by then.
James Sifhalil says, just finished bolting together my first Strat after a couple of weeks of refinishing. Mick, your Strat vlogs have been invaluable. Dan, can't wait for more lesson videos and EP. Oh, thank you very much.
Thank you, James. You are a braver person than I if you're tackling refinishing. That's really serious work.
I refinished a Strat in my youth.
Right.
I had an old Strat Plus, and it was just such a great guitar. Black, thick poly, but it sounded great. And the bass player that I was playing with, he had tongue oils. He got this bass, this like an old jazz bass made, and he finished it in tongue oil.
Right.
He said, man, you should strip the guitar back and we'll do the whole thing in tongue oil. I just went, yeah, okay. And stripped the whole thing back. And then I remember taking a bit of sandpaper to the body, thinking I'd just sand the black off. And then after 10 minutes, I barely scratched the poly. So I had to go and buy paint strip and all this stuff. Anyway, took all the finish off the guitar, got some tongue oil on it, and it had changed the sound of the guitar so fundamentally that it was almost unrecognisable.
But didn't you know, Dan, that all the sound of an electric guitar is in the pickups? Didn't you know that? Aaron Singh says, thank you, Aaron. That's very generous. I have an issue with volume on my rig. I'm running a V140, Victory V140, wet dry with a 2-rock custom, a classic reverb signature. Oh my God, that's a rig.
Yeah,
with a 63 Strat.
Studio, come on.
That's a rig. Where turning on some pedals seems to lift the volume over Unity. The Ripley Fall and the Microvent do this. Any tips? Yeah. When you're dealing with that much headroom, even the smallest change in gain from the pedal is going to make a noticeable difference.
Yeah.
With the Ripley Fall, I think it's intentional because when you start to modulate things, they can start to sit back a bit. So having a little bit extra volume there, whatever. Microvent. My Microvent actually seems to make things quieter. Microvent, not Minivent. On the Minivent, you've got the 2-position switch, and if you put it in the quieter position, the less overdriven one, that's not a thing. Any tips? Not really, other than just go with it and allow you to, you've got so much off the guitar with that amp setup that you could just play a little bit more lightly, or I don't know.
Yeah, and maybe you could actually set up the amps to limit a bit more.
Yeah. If the amps weren't so completely clean, then you wouldn't get that. Like, I've started running my CRS a little bit gainier just recently for that reason, actually.
Right.
So, yeah.
We have 953 people watching us at the moment, Nick.
That's incredible. It's almost like there's a COVID-19 pandemic on or something.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Dan Gleebles says, I recently bought a used Les Paul. I want to replace the pots and switch with ones that aren't on a PCB. Any pitfalls worth avoiding? Yes. If you don't know what you're doing, soldering to the back of a pot, it can be really frustrating because it's a large surface area and it can take a long time to heat up, especially because you don't have leaded solder anymore. So the solder, the temperature at which the new solder melts is much higher. I would suggest a wiring harness from someone like Emerson. They make amazing Les Paul wiring harnesses that makes your job so much easier.
So buy it pre-made, you mean?
Yeah, just buy the harness pre-made, pop it in, and so then all you need to do is attach the outputs, the switches, and the jack, which will make your life a whole lot easier. If you haven't got that, you need a hot soldering iron and scratch up the place that you want to solder.
Yeah.
So get rid of all the dirt and schmut from it, and then you'll it'll be a lot easier.
Yeah, scratching the back of the pot thing is a really big deal.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Make life so much easier for you.
Yeah. Zach Briggs, thanks for keeping these shows going. Have you considered a pre-CBS Jazzmaster? A refinished early 60s Jazzmaster can still cost you less than a custom shop model. Yeah, they're becoming rarer, aren't they? I think they're still way cheaper than Strats, but they're still, a nice one is still loads of money. I think I really like the newer Jazzmaster that I've got, but it's always like a C guitar for me. So the A guitar is the Strat, the B guitar is something with humbuckers, and then there's everything else, which is kind of the other guitar that you use for a specific sound. So in order for me to buy a pre-CBS Jazzmaster, I would first need a pre-CBS Strat and some kind of vintage Gibson, and then I would think about a Jazzmaster, I think.
I've been tracking with the Skipper over the weekend, and it's got that Jazzmaster vibe.
Yeah, this is the grey guitar Skipper for anyone not familiar with that.
And it's it's lovely. So, but I think because I've now got my old Tele, and I've got Red, and I've got my old Les Paul Junior, and I've got I don't really hanker for an old Les Paul. I've got a really lovely custom shop Les Paul. The Grey Guitars Skipper has sort of cured me of a lust for an offset, because it's a beautifully made offset, and it does everything that I want an offset to do with the mastery bridge and all that sort of stuff. But of course, home is the Tele, and I've got my two favourite Teles. I've got three, including Butters. But yeah, because I've got the old one, the 65, that has sort of scratched that itch. And don't really have that itch for an old Jazzmaster. However, I could have quite easily gone that direction when I was younger and ended up being a Jazzmaster player, because they're wonderful guitars.
Yeah.
But my body has sort of twisted itself into the shape of someone that plays a Telecaster, with that edge of the body that sort of digs into your ribs, and it's so unforgiving.
There's a symbiosis that happens with a guitar as well, isn't there, where you stop. When you get a new guitar, you're 100% conscious, or you're 100% middleman thought, and what comes out is okay. And then the more you become one with the guitar, the conscious thought ebbs away to a point where a lot of what you do with the guitar is just cerebral. It's not. It's instant and it's flow. And I think that's where you are with the Tele. You don't have to think about it. Whereas if you put on something that's a bit different, you've got to think about it, and then what comes out is notes rather than music, without wishing to be too hippie about it.
Gaspari says, "Hey guys, love the show. Only asking this because you always say there are no stupid questions. What is the bit from Monty Python with the Timmy joke? Been really curious about this since the first Timmy Pedal episode."
You're mixing two things up.
That's right.
Timmy comes from South Park, and Timmy is a disabled kid, and the only thing he can say is Timmy. And I don't know if we should laugh at that, but we all do. And maybe there's a bit more to it than that. Tim, in Monty Python's world, was the vicious beastie with the big teeth who sits outside the cave in the quest for the Holy Grail.
Yes.
And he goes, or no, maybe Tim is the keeper of the cave.
Isn't he the knight?
Yeah, maybe Tim is the guy who keeps the bridge. But it's in the rabbit scene anyway.
Right.
And is it Galahad? Lancelot goes, right, one rabbit stew.
Galahad.
One rabbit stew coming right up. And the big vicious, isn't it Billy Connolly?
Is it? Yes.
Is it Billy Connolly?
Yes, of course.
I don't know. So yeah, Timmy is South Park, and Tim is Monty Python, I think, unless we've got that wrong. Tricky Oho, thank you very much. Says, Dan, what is the signal path in your wet dry rig for your Red Panda Tensor, since it is not analog drive-through?
So it isn't analog drive-through, but it is true bypass, and it is on the wet output, and I only ever kick it on when I am building up a loop or doing a reverse delay. So I don't use it in conjunction with the dry side, like, really.
Interesting.
It's there as an effect. I do that reverse tape effect, and I'll build a loop up with it and reverse it, and build up the loops that way. So it's only ever there as an effect, so it doesn't get in the way. And because it is true bypass, I turn it off, and it's receiving a low impedance signal, so it doesn't get in the way at all.
Interesting.
Yeah, wonderful thing.
Zoso5962 says, "Hey guys, thanks for doing this right now." No worries.
You're so welcome.
It's a pleasure. Is there such a thing as too many overdrives? Too many to own or on your board? I'm asking for a friend. Yeah. Not to own. You can't own too many overdrives, but on your board, I think you can start saying things like, "Oh, I just need that. I need that just tiny little shade of this when I've got 18 shades of that," and that I definitely have. I would imagine Dan's been down that rabbit hole too, where you then you reintroduce the middleman. So when you're playing, you're like, should I have this overdrive or that overdrive? And all of a sudden you're out of the moment and you're not. So I think there's a case to be made for too much confusion standing in the way of you playing, maybe.
Yep. That's very good.
Anything to add to that, Daniel?
Gain stages are so important in creating your dynamics and your, the level of just, you'll generally have a gain stage on, at least one, for everything that you do. And it's such a massive part, as like a chorus or a flanger or a delay or something, you use these to colour the sound. But the gain stage is such a massive fundamental part of the sound, which is why, there are so many overdrives and fuzzes and things available, because they are such a fundamental thing that we do. So I have five gain stages, I think, on my board now, and I use them for different levels of gain dynamics. So a clean-ish right through to very, very gainy, and fuzz. But they because I've been searching for these sounds for so long, and they're such a fundamental part of how you express and how the touch and with in relation to your guitar and the amp and all that sort of stuff. So to me, it's natural that you would try and own lots and lots of gain stages, because as you're sort of working your way through and finding the things that you connect with, because they're such a fundamental part of your sound. Here endeth the lesson.
Yeah. So I think what Dan's probably saying is, don't have 10 of the same thing. Have 5 different things.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
Is that what you're saying?
I could have just said that, couldn't I?
No, I don't know.
Well,
I think you elucidated it very nicely, Daniel.
Well, thank you.
Andy Lord. Hi, guys.
Good Lord.
Is TPS Live definitely cancelled with Andy Timmons? I need to cancel my holidays with work if they are. Thanks and stay safe. Andy, yes. Sorry, we did send an email out, and it's probably gone into your spam. But obviously we had to cancel the April dates. That was next week, 2 weeks' time. The good news is we are 2 shakes of a lamb's tail away from confirming rebooked dates in September. They will be in late September for the Andy Timmons gigs, assuming we're all back to normal by September, and we're all rather hoping that we will be. So yes, the dates in April are off. We are rescheduling them for the end of September. Everyone will be offered either to just transfer your ticket to September, or you can have a refund. We don't mind either way. Once it's confirmed, an email will go out. We ask for you to be a little bit patient in the meantime, just while we dot the I's and cross the T's at this impossibly difficult time. We had some guy, bless him, email us on Saturday going, "Can I have a refund?" And because Catherine didn't answer him on Saturday, he's like getting all unhappy about it. And we're like, whoa, hang on. We'll answer it on Monday when we get back in the office. Everything is cool. Please, nobody panic. So I guess that's the nature of everyone just feeling a little bit touchy at the moment. But yes, they're off in April. They'll be back on in September. An email will go out when we've confirmed that.
Yeah. Or you could, you could have it as credit to spend in the That Pedal Show store.
Please don't say that. Catherine will probably have some sort of administrative breakdown.
Oh, okay. Don't do that.
Or it might be possible. Who knows? That's a nice idea, Dan. Right, back to the questions. John Lorenz says of Friday's video, John Lorenz, why do all the other YouTube videos I find of tone bender pedals sound awful and you guys sound great? Is everyone else just fuzz dumb? That's very kind of you to say, John. I'm sure they don't all sound awful. Pete Thorne has made a really, really good one, I know. But one of the things might have been... What do you think it is, Dan? Why did our video sound good in John's opinion?
Man, because I don't know.
Okay.
I'm not as diplomatic as you are. I'm gonna, and it's. I think because we just love fuzz. And it's something that we've been doing for a long time. Here's what I think it is. Whenever we do a fuzz show, you have a bunch of people that say, "Yeah, really don't get fuzz, really don't understand it," and a bunch of guys go, "I love it." Well, we are guys that really, really love fuzz, and have been playing fuzz for a long time. And it does take a long time. Or it does take a level of experience and a level of ability to get the most out of the fuzz, as it does with anything else. But I think of fuzz, because it's such a dynamic sounding pedal and reacting off the way that you play and the volume of the guitar and impedances and all that sort of stuff. There's so much involved with getting a good sound out of a fuzz. And I think because we've been doing it a long time, we're able to get these fuzzes to perform. And also, when we record the shows, I mean, the work that goes into recording the audio on one of our shows is epic. It's not a camera. You're not hearing a mic from a camera.
Yeah, I would start. I would start there and say, first off, loud amps, amps with really nice mics on them. So you're taking away that, there's plenty of speaker simulation things and IRs that sound good if you know how to use them. We don't. So first off,
we don't, and I testify that to my upcoming vlog.
You're hearing a loud amp and you're hearing the interaction of a loud amplifier and a speaker and the guitar and the human, right? So that's number one. That's really important. Number two, we're in that room with sympathetically resonating guitars hanging on the walls. It was hilarious when we stopped playing. Yeah. You got this sort of, if you finish on A, you get this sympathetic A chord that just hammers around the room. Plus we had room mics up in the room, so you're hearing reflections, and it just sounds big and real, for want of a better term. Whereas I think maybe some of the videos that you're saying don't sound as good for whatever reason may well be not loud mic amps. It might be, something quiet, direct, no room sound. And to temper all of that, I'll say that Dan and I recorded a show with Rabia. Horns over there. At the end of, just before the COVID-19 thing kicked off, we did one show doing his pedal board build. This is Rabia Masad, by the way. And we did another show on why can Dan and I never get good distortion sounds?
Yeah, good shout.
What Dan was saying earlier about, we have an affinity with fuzz and we're willing to commit to it and play the guitar in a way that makes fuzz sound good. We cannot play distortion pedals like in a modern hard rock scenario. We suck at that and we never sound good at that. So, I guess it's where your heart is and what you're drawn to do.
That's really good shout.
So I just wanted to put that in there because we get fuzz, and that's possibly why it sounds, thank you for saying that it sounds good.
Yeah.
I think it sounds
James
good.
Yates says, I love what you guys do. Best guitar show on YouTube. Thank you, James. Very kind.
Okay, a question from Jazz. I think Mick will like this question. Why do germanium transistors interact a lot more with the guitar volume than silicon transistors? I'm not sure they do. The best volume knob interaction pedal I have is a silicon BC108 My Hendrix fuzz. Everyone says that germanium reacts better with volume controls. I'm not sure that it does. I think it's all in the rest of the design of the fuzz pedal.
Yep.
Is it, the input impedance and the resistance? The analog manual says that little resistance trimmer on the input there. But I agree with you that a lot of people say that it is. A lot of people say germanium does. Yeah, not my experience. My germanium ones don't do it as well as that silicon one. So,
Yep.
what, are you disagreeing with that, Dan, or are you?
No, I'm agreeing. I think it's as much in the design and the biasing and the particular transistors. There's a silicon is more consistent, I would say, to a point though, because like I've heard those the BC108 ones, and they all have a, shall we say, a the word I'm looking for is that they all sit within a range, but they're not all identical. But yeah, it's
Yeah, they do. They vary massively.
they do.
Mike Buckman, hi Mike. Please. What is the difference between balanced tension strings and regular tension strings? Please, I need an answer.
Have you got that one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So balanced strings means that you're going to have the same amount of tension to bring up to pitch on each of the strings.
Yes. So I've never really understood why anyone would want this, but so if you find that if you like, I don't know, whatever your gauges are, you use a regular 9 or 10 set, and you find that, doing a tone and a half bend on the top E string is really tough, but actually on the G string it's really easy. The balanced tension sets, I think, are there to even that out, aren't they?
They are, but also if you're using the tremolo with a balanced tension set,
Right.
when you use the tremolo, it sounds like a slide or steel guitar because all the pitch is going up and down in all the same increments.
Right.
So if you grab an A chord and you grab the tremolo and you pull it up a tone, all the strings are going up together.
Really?
Yeah, it's amazing.
I never knew that.
Yeah, it's really cool.
I'm going to try that. I never knew that. I hope that answers your question, Mike. Non-aligned videos says, so much of guitar sound is in your fingers. If your brain doesn't feel a metal tone, your fingers won't deliver it properly. It's the same reason some metal guys can't play country properly. Yeah, I think that's absolutely right. Any great musician, any great artist, it's flow, isn't it? It's not thinking about it and delivering it. It's just flow.
Yep.
So you have to feel it in order for it to flow and for it to be art. So I would absolutely agree with that.
Did we give a shout out to PEQ? Thanks for all the great information and making me want to learn more. That's great, PEQ. Warms the cockles of my heart that whatever we're doing is inspiring you to have schwangage.
Paul Fitzgerald, hey guys, thanks for the show. Ed O'Brien has just tweeted he has coronavirus.
Oh my goodness.
Sending him and you much love from Panama City. Panama, take care everyone. Yeah, maybe send him a text, Dan.
Yeah, we'll do. I will do straight away.
Ed O'Brien, hopefully he's okay and fit enough to deal with it.
Boy, oh boy.
Right, how far did we get with this? Marla Slangelis in the comments on YouTube over the weekend says, Dear Josh, the clock-eyed lady is an electric mistress type flanger with delay time, manual control, and a mix control and 2 foot switches. One activates the pedal, the other changes from positive to negative flanging, or odd and even. If it's the same enclosure as the Lucky Cat, the clock-eyed lady, let me know when it's ready.
So he's making up a flanger for
Yeah.
Josh. Yeah. That's very funny.
Yeah. He says it's finally your turn to redeem yourself for your bad flanger videos. Matt Gilbert. Hello, Matt. Nice to hear from you, mate. Question. I've noticed that certain big muff derivatives can get one a bit closer to a bender, can get closer to bender tones than fuzz face circuits, like the Keeley PSI comes to mind. Blah, blah, blah. Am I delusional, or is there something to this? Bit of a broad question, I know, but it's just curious to me. Also, tone bender and muff fans seem to overlap, and then there's fuzz face forever crowd. Okay, Matt is saying, let's just summarize this. Muff derivatives can get closer to the tone bender sound, but most tone benders can't sound like fuzz faces, and neither do muffs. So you've got muffs and tone benders, and you've got fuzz faces. Discuss. Partly because the most famous tone benders are 3 transistor, as are the muffs, aren't they?
Sure.
So there's
and
more.
You've got the op-amp versions and all that sort of stuff as well.
So it's thicker.
Basically muffs. Yeah.
It's a thicker drive, isn't it? That's what I would
Yep.
hear. Especially in the Mark 1. I mean, that was astonishingly thick.
Oh. Yeah, and Mark 1 is basically an FZ1A, but brought up to voltage. It's, heavily inspired by. And it's just, man, what an incredible sounding thing.
Yeah, I think I'd probably agree with you, Matt. Dan really loves big muffs. But I've never ever been able to make one work. It's just too. It just disappears whenever I play it. Whereas with a fuzz face, as long as you don't play down here, it's always, you can always hear it.
Sure.
And I was hearing more of that in the tone benders. Actually, that kind of not too much woofy bass, but really aggressive trebles.
Yeah.
Which seem to me to get really smoothed out in most big muffs that I've played, but maybe I just haven't played the right ones. He finishes by saying that the Digitech Dodd Carcosa fuzz can do muffy fuzz, splatty tone bender, and woolly fuzz face. What's going on? How do they do that? I haven't played a Carcosa in recent times, so not sure.
They done a few really good things recently, haven't they, DoD?
Well,
Looking Glass.
they are currently no more, but a couple of years ago.
Yes, of course.
Did it get revived? Someone was going to buy it, maybe. I don't know. Don't remember.
The great Dell says, and thank you, the great Dell. That's very, very generous. He said he visited Macari's recently. It's a fuzzy, happy place. I need a power booster and Univibe in my life now. Tips on a good vibe. I was thinking the Dawn of Prince one, using a Strat and a JCM 800. What do you reckon, Nick?
Remind me of the question.
The great Dell he needs a power booster and Univibe in his life. He wants tips on a good vibe. He was thinking about the Dawn of Prince one. He's using a Strat and a JCM 800. So when you're with all the vibe tones that you use, what is that you're looking for? There's that throb thing, isn't there? That the heartbeat type throb.
Yeah, it's like they call it a heartbeat because it's kind of like a doo-doo. Rather than like a row, row,
yeah.
It's more like a row,
yeah.
A little bit maybe. I thought once we dialed the Dawn of Prince in, it was spectacular, wasn't it?
Yep. Really, really great.
It was really, really good. The new Jam Pedals one is the best one I've heard in recent memory.
Yeah, it's killer.
Yeah, they just seem to have got the volume right. It's so simple to operate. But I don't know, I've been really struggling with vibe. I can't get it in the right place. I don't like it before the overdrive and fuzz. It makes no sense to have it there. But having it after the overdrive and fuzz, there's too much nasty buffered type treble.
Shenanigans.
Yeah, it gets unpleasant because it's got to be hitting a driving amp, and I don't really use a heavily driving amp. My amp's only overdriving a little bit. So I've moved more towards rotary speaker, chorus, and harmonic tremolo as my wobbly things. Really struggling with the vibe, if I'm honest.
Mm.
Clean. It sounds great, but overdrive, I don't know. I can't. I just can't make it work. I'm not putting it before my first. I'm just not doing that.
JJN says, "Hey guys, loving your work. Recovering from coronavirus at home at the moment. Last 3 days have been a nightmare. Even though I'm quite ill, my Marshall Silver Jubilee half stack put a smile on my face.
Good
Take
for you,
care."
man.
Oh well, really glad to hear you're recovering, mate. And, yeah.
Stories of recovery are what we all want to hear.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah,
definitely.
Well done. We wish you all the best. Hopefully you're getting plenty of TPS viewing in. And others. Ricardo Lima Pereira says, question for Analog Mick. Thank you. I appreciate that. That's great. That is truly a compliment. Where does the Gladio fit in your board? Is it the last in your chain with everything including delays going into the amp's inputs? No, they call it a preamp, but I'm just not with it. It's an overdrive pedal. It sounds like an overdrive pedal to me.
Great overdrive pedal.
A fantastic overdrive pedal. I dare say you can use it right at the end if you want to. If you want to get that sort of, if you want to simulate the amp more, but I don't. I want to use it as an overdrive pedal. So for me, it comes after fuzz, before clon, and it seems to sit pretty perfectly there. Yep. We should try it as a preamp, but it'd be interesting to know if it would work into the effects loop return of an amp, whether it's got enough mumbo for that. I mean, they call it a preamp, so maybe it probably has.
Yeah, yeah, maybe.
Matt Presley, thank you, Matt. Huge fan of the show. Just bought my 3rd shirt last week. Thanks, Matt. That makes a big difference. That's keeps us going. What's the difference between a harmonic and a regular tremolo, Daniel?
So a regular tremolo is affecting the amplitude of your signal, and it's modulating the amplitude. So if you can imagine, your guitar sound is going loud, quiet, loud, quiet. It's very difficult to do without any arms.
Just Dan, sing a note for me.
So here we go. La, la,
come on, just a constant note.
Okay. La. So that's tremolo.
Louder and quieter.
The note is getting loud, quiet, loud, quiet. What harmonic tremolo does is it splits the signal and splits between bass and treble frequencies, and then it flips the phase of one and makes them loud, quiet, but in opposite ways. So it's bass up, bass up, treble up, if that makes sense. And that gives that certain vibey sound. So, yeah, it's very, very different than a normal tremolo.
Yep, sounds more like a modulation. So yeah. a tremolo is just making it loud and quieter, and a harmonic trem, it sounds like a distinct modulation. People often think my harmonic tremolo is vibe. So yeah.
Yeah, and it does sound very vibey. I mean, for me, harmonic trem is my favourite vibe.
Yeah, me too. Joey Santos, clon into tube screamer or vice versa? Considering the mid hump from the TS, wondering what makes sense. I always have my clon last after everything because it just does this final high headroom, knocks a bit of bass off, gives me a bit of 3.2K.
And you have a bit of gain in there as well, don't you?
Tiny bit, about 9 o'clock. Yeah. Whereas Tube Screamer just too compressed to have last in the chain for me personally. I want the last thing in the chain to go from this to, oh my god,
I had this, and I don't want this.
hell has opened up. Whereas if you put the Tube Screamer at the end,
You
it's
keep
like,
holding it.
yeah, and then you have this,
And I don't want this.
and I don't want this.
But I am professional.
And who's in here? No one. And who's in here? A little guy. We watched Spinal Tap with Rabia. He'd never seen it.
I was losing my mind. It was so funny. And Rabia was just looking at me like, what an idiot. And boy, oh boy. But it just gets funnier and funnier, that film. I saw a picture today. Do you remember the old Seymour Duncan amps?
Yeah, convertible.
So there's an old the old ad they used to have in the guitar magazines for it, and of Jeff Beck sat on the Seymour Duncan, this thing, playing the Seymour Duncan convertible amp.
Yeah.
And it seriously, you could put Nigel Tufnell, you could interchange them in that picture, and they are identical.
Well, you know Nigel is based on Jeff Beck.
Right, sure. I think it's based on specifically on that picture of Jeff Beck because it's ridiculous. It just looks so much like him.
Such a great film. Phil Mingin Phil. Thank you, Phil. Learned so much from you guys, bought 2 shirts and became a patron. Thank you for all of that.
Thank you, Phil.
I run my entire pedal board through a Fryette PS2 power station into a deluxe reverb. Any issues with this?
No.
Presumably,
Great way to do it.
You mean you're running your deluxe reverb and then the Fryette doing the attenuation job, hopefully, is what you mean?
Yeah.
Are you? You don't go into the Fryette and then into the deluxe reverb. You have the deluxe reverb and the Fryette attached via the speaker connection as an attenuator. If that's what you mean, what he said.
Yeah, that should be, yeah. Unless he's talking about putting the entire pedal board through a loop of the PS2 and then into the deluxe reverb. Anyway, the Fryette power station is an incredible thing.
It's a really good thing. What it also, it's also got its own effects loop. So if you like running everything into the front of your small amp, but you find that the amp's overdriving too much. So for example, if you're cranking the deluxe reverb and using the Fryette to attenuate it, you might find that hitting a delay into the front of that could be a bit messy. You might want a cleaner sounding delay, in which case you can use it in the loop of the Fryette, which keeps it cleaner and is a pretty cool way to do it. But yeah.
Definitely.
A superb product is the Fryette.
Definitely.
In fact, you can see it there on the Marshall yonder. We were using it to record a video last week. That's the one.
My head's in the way.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. Oh, no, there it is. Yes, no, there it is.
It is
there.
there.
Very good.
Cornan 1980 says, thanks for TPS. I've learned so much. That's lots of people are saying that today. That's nice to hear. We've learned a lot too, for what it's worth.
Great fun.
I've recently set up Wet Dry with a Vox AC15 wet and a Fender Blues Junior dry. Sounds great in the room, but when I try to record, the wet amp seems to overwhelm everything. Any tips? Yeah, turn it down.
Yeah. That's the beauty of a wet dry rig.
Yeah.
So imagine that when you're recording and now you become the engineer, you've got all the power to just reduce how effective that the wet signal is and how in relation to the dry signal. That's what it's great.
Yeah.
Or turn the dry signal up. Yeah. Whatever. But yeah, just balance it out until it sounds right.
Do just check that they're in phase as well.
Yes, that's a big deal.
You might have a phase problem if you find that one amp is overwhelming the other. But yeah, I mean, having the wet amp, you're essentially doing what, I think Dan just mentioned this, what recording engineers do is effectively using the wet things as parallel, and you can just bring them up subtly. And it's, a little bit of effect goes a blooming long way in a recording.
Yeah, sure thing.
I should say.
Sunil Yappa just says, pedal redo. I think it'd be fun show to redo the Tube Screamer and Klon episode.
Cool.
Interesting.
Totally happy to do that. There's been a lot of learning in that area over the years. I'm currently nobody freak out. I'm currently off Tube Screamers because I'm liking these edgier, more aggressive sounds at the moment. So when I'm back to Smoothland, maybe the Tube Screamer will return. Don't know. Somebody is Michael Cullen. I'm freaking out, Mick. Sorry, Michael. And Cornin says, I'll look out for the phase issue. They sound at unity with each other in the room, so I didn't want to turn down, but that gives me something to try. The way to hear it really clearly is in your recording on a channel strip. Presumably you've got them recording on two separate channel strips, two separate tracks in your DAW, whatever it is you're recording to. Add something that gives you the ability to flip the phase on one of them, and you will hear immediately whether they're in or out of phase. If you flip the phase and all of a sudden they sound massive and huge, they are out of phase. And we get that sometimes where we're recording here and we'll be sat here going, is that in or out of phase, Fraser? And it's not immediately obvious sometimes. And then Fraser will go, oh, yeah, option B is totally out of phase. So, as you say, where you're sat sounds full and big, but do listen to it in your DAW and flip the phase on one of the channels and you will hear immediately.
Yeah.
Also, let's just ask the question, are you running any non-analog dry-through pedals in your wet chain? If you are, you've got a phase problem.
Yep.
So that's something else to check for.
Yes. Andrew Pasco says, thanks, guys. Thank you, Andrew. You're so welcome, and that's very generous.
Thank you, Andrew. Much appreciated.
Dan, Maz109 says, Dan, what do the range and colour knobs on the electric mistress control? Width, depth, manual, regeneration. So the range is the depth, the range of frequencies, and the colour is the regeneration. There you go. Oh. Have you got my... There it is. There it is. Oh, so lovely.
Yeah, there's that. Tell you what else we got, Dan. I don't know if you know this yet.
Tell me.
Got this.
There's a delay. So, show me what we've got.
Oh, there's a delay between the audio and the video, is there?
Oh, that looks epic. So, okay, take me through it.
I haven't plugged it in yet. It's a Mesa California Tweed, single channel, multi-watts output section. So 2 watts up to 40 watts, 6v6s, reverb.
Wow, 6v6s.
Yeah.
Now that is such an interesting tube.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to plugging that in.
There you go. That was for David Dallas. Did you guys talk about the boogie at all? There it is.
Right, Bo Ackerstrom says, I visited Sweden in 1976 and 1978.
Help me with that, Rucksack.
Oh, Sweden would have been so cool. I mean, imagine all the Saabs, all the late 70s Saabs you could have seen in Sweden in 1976. I bet Sweden was the place to be in the late 70s.
I got a very dear friend of mine lives in Sweden now. He seems to be living his best life.
It is. I've been a few times and had a remarkable time every time. Yeah. Greetings to Sweden. Thank you for everything you've done for the world. Maybe not so much the old stuff. Sorry, just a joke. Just a joke. Anyway, I visited Sweden, and like we can talk, right? Like the British can talk, we can't talk. We did awful stuff, awful stuff, and bought a Coloursound fuzz phaser from Macaris on one of those visits. My memory is a bit fuzzy. Nice. It was stolen many years ago, but I remember the fuzz sounded very different compared to the pedals in this episode. Do you know if that circuit was a variation or something completely different? I googled this. I think it was either called the fuzz phaser or the phaser fuzz.
Right.
They are rare.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I found one on Reverb for like 400 quid or something, which didn't seem massively high, but in addition to being rare, they might also not be massively sought after in the way that like the early tone benders are. I don't know. I mean, I'm assuming it's a phaser and a fuzz in one, is it?
You know what? I don't know the pedal.
No.
I'd have to have a look at it.
I think when we were talking to Anthony Macari, let's give him a honk. When we made the video, it was a massive surprise to me that we got through all of those pedals right up to Mark IV, and we were only at 1967, weren't we?
Yeah, it's unbelievable. And they were all germanium tone benders.
So by the time we get to 76, 78, things will have changed markedly.
Fundamentally.
Different circuit boards. I think they were predominantly silicon by then, weren't they?
Yep. And went to op-amp versions, things as well. So
yeah. Likely to be a very different thing by the time we get there. Cool pedal though. Sorry to hear it was stolen. That's
man, thieves. Boy, oh boy.
Right.
Al Gorham has said, thanks for doing this. Significant C19 impacts today, nerves fraying. You guys bring joy. Mick, any compromises in micro versus mini vents that you know of? First of all, just to say, again, I think because I've been experienced, my nerves are a little bit on edge, but we're going to get through this. We're all going to get through it, and Mick and I are going to make sure that we've got content out, and come and hang out with us on a Monday, and we'll chat and stuff.
Yeah, we'll always do this. I think we'll probably go into all the main shows are good for 7 weeks, so that's great. We're in the bag with that.
Yeah,
we've got a couple of pedal jams in the bag, and then we'll do vlogs. I've got so many things. My friend Ollie, again before COVID-19 kicked off, brought me his telly. He's got a dual rail humbucking pickup he wants put in the bridge pickup, so I'm going to do that. I want to change some other stuff. There'll be plenty of stuff, and we'll be here, and I know that other people in our world are doing the same thing. So as long as we're all healthy and we don't manage to come down with it, which there'll be a temporary break in service, but we'll keep it going. I think I want to echo what Dan just said about it's so easy to let your mind wander off and worry about what might happen, and it's really hard to do, but if you can just not do that, every time you find your mind wandering off worrying about stuff, you just got to snap it back to this moment and go, right, what is the situation? What is the situation now at this moment? Not what might happen, because if you start thinking about what might happen, your brain does all kinds of crazy things. All you know is what's happening right now, and that's all that matters.
What's a simple practical technique, Mick?
So I'm talking about this because this is some of the stuff I've done in my mental health journey. If you find your mind wandering off and worrying about stuff, that's your mind, right? That's your mind playing tricks on you because that's its job. It loves problems, and it makes problems out of situations. So you've got to turn to your mind and you've got to look at it and you've got to go, why are you doing that? There's no need for you to be doing that because you're just escalating this fact into a problem. It doesn't need to be a problem. It just is what it is. And if you can just observe your mind and not judge it and not get caught up with it, so see it as over there causing this trouble, look at it, and then bring yourself back to this moment and now and tell it to shut up. You could even give it a name. I gave mine a name because it's compulsive thinking, right? And you've got to stop that. So when you find yourself compulsively thinking, you need a strategy to stop it. So I gave mine a name and I tell it to shut up. And then if it helps, you can do things like breathing. I'm going to sound like a massive hippie now. But more interestingly than that, the reason, Dan, you love jiu-jitsu so much, the reason we both love playing the guitar, the reason I love riding my motorbike, the reason that rock climbers love rock climbing, etc., 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 is because they have no time when they're doing those activities for their mind to start causing trouble.
Yeah,
because
that's so good.
We are in the moment when we're doing those activities. So playing the guitar can help. Watching a movie can help. Watching a movie is a great example of being in the moment and being completely absorbed by the movie. That feeling when you finish watching a movie and you go, oh wow, it's daylight, or it doesn't feel like 4 p.m. in the afternoon, because you've been in the moment and you've been rolling with it.
Yeah.
So I know it's easy to say, and I know I've been practicing it for a year, but just tell your mind to shut
just as
up.
someone who's been with you as you've been on this journey, it's incredible. And just seeing the difference in you, and just a couple of techniques that you've given me, and from just and from the stuff that you give me to read, that thing of being present, saying, okay, at this where I am right now. So right now, I've got my phone in my face, and I'm in this room, and I'm chatting to you, and I'm reading this stuff. There's literally, I don't have any problems right now.
No.
Now, my mind can easily wander off to all the what ifs with everything that's going on.
Yeah.
Or I can just be present in the moment and just sort of enjoy this, being with everyone, being with you, and chatting and stuff. And that's made a massive difference to me.
It is. And then what happens if something bad does happen? Hopefully everyone doesn't have too many experiences of this, but there'll be a time in your life when you've experienced something bad. And what you'll find is you're not worrying about it when it's happening. You're dealing with it. You're just dealing with whatever it is that's happening.
Mm.
You're not caught up in a load of mind fug about, because it's fight or flight at that point.
Yeah, yes, of course.
And actually the fear of stuff is very often, much more damaging than it actually happening.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
Anyway, I could talk about it all day, and I should stop doing that
But it is fascinating. It is fascinating. Look, it's nearly 7:10.
Yes.
We'll do a couple more.
Okay.
7 String Machine says, I love TPS. I'm using the G2 and trying to run wet, dry, wet. I have one buffer and an ABY box. Do I need another buffer before, or are the outputs on G2 buffered? So the outputs on G2 are not buffered. It's all passive, true bypass loops. But there are buffers that you can turn on. Why don't you just send an email through to support@thegigrig.com, and we'll go through your rig with you and just make sure. But it is basically putting your humdinger or your ABY box in one of the loops, then running the last loops in stereo, and there's your wet, dry, wet rig. And it does sound absolutely glorious.
Yeah.
So, but, very happy to help you out with that one. And Mikhail says, big props for keeping the show on, guys. I'm looking at Mesa Revolver, actual rotating speaker simulator.
No way.
Market is only about Leslie Sims. Any ideas?
Yeah, I've never actually heard one, but I remember when they brought it out and they were really fizzy about it. I don't know if the speaker actually spins or whether it's a drum that spins around a speaker. But yeah, if you've seen one of those and it's a sensible price, buy it.
Wow.
I'd buy it. Lightening the mood further, Victor Turnell left Chicago, Jazz, Crux of the Biscuit, Tom A, Seth Howard, Adam Morrison, Ruben Kennig, Pete Normal, N Dawson, JP Walker, Thomas, Riggs Taylor, Highgate Club, and quite a few others wanted to know why I was sniffing the Mark 1.5 in the video.
Oh, well, it's just so funny.
True story. When I got my first proper Fender amp, it was a Silverface Twin, and I had about 3 of them in succession. They all smelt a certain way.
Yeah.
And I got used to that. It made my car smell a certain way. It contributed to making our van smell a certain way. And then since then, the smell of old gear is something really interesting. So, if you open up a Gibson, the combination of the glue they use to put the fur in the case, they say it's the nitro lacquer. It's probably not. It's probably a combination of the fur, the glue, the lacquer of the guitar, whatever. And you just get used to these smells, and old electronics have a certain smell.
Yeah.
It's really weird.
Do you remember when they used to smoke in pubs?
Yeah.
All my guitars, my guitar cases especially,
Yeah.
dear Lord, they just used to stink. stink.
I don't know how we did it.
The inside of a Fender, like a large Fender Telecaster or Strat case, is engineered to absorb all of those smells and preserve them for an extraordinarily long time. I was playing 5 nights a week, and with doing this in Australia, we'd do crazy long gigs, and it's loads of fun, but they're long nights, and your gear is absorbing the smell of it, and it's just, all of these rooms are completely smoke filled, right?
Yeah.
And I can remember doing a gig with my sister, and she was doing something. She asked me to come play guitar for her, and it was a church environment. And I remember a couple of guitar players would want to see my guitar, and I just remember opening the case and the waft of just stale cigarettes and booze, it just sort of overwhelming. It was really funny.
I remember that I distinctly remember being in pubs where, you almost couldn't see the crowd because the smoke was so thick. What I remember more is the week after the smoking ban.
Oh, yeah.
And the pubs smelt so bad because the smell of smoke had kind of half gone. And then you could smell what the pub actually smelt like. So the carpet, which was full of whatever the carpet was full of. And, oh, man.
Yep.
That was grim. RPA,
Yeah.
like you were saying, RPA, I reckon smelled for 2 years after that. Just
It does. It absorbs all that stuff. Nitro lacquered stuff was particularly good at absorbing those smells. I think that's where a lot of yellowing come from. It's just the smoke in these clubs.
Yep, definitely. I wonder, especially on the old Fender necks and the yellowing of white guitars and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, boy, well, that was a long one.
Hang on.
But that was good fun.
Last couple at the Dock Holiday. Hello, by the way. Do you think it made enough of an impact on you guys to be considering a tone bender on your boards in the near future?
That's a really, really good question. I'm going to say yes, but I've got a couple of tone bender type things, and it would be doing a very different job than what I'm using my Sunface for at the moment. Mick, that it's a much raunchier, sort of darker sound. Whereas I'm sort of using my Sunface as almost a boost, really. But yeah, I'm considering it. I'm going to have a massive rethink with my rig. I think I'm going to go back a size with the Schmidt Array.
Interesting.
Mm.
Yeah. Well, I'm desperately trying to get everything to fit on that 350, but it won't quite because G2 won't fit on there. So.
Yeah. So there's I think I'm going to revisit that. But yes, was so bowled over by that Mark 1 that I can see a future with a similar thing. So I'm going to have a chat to Steve over at Pig Dog, and just I think as for me, as far as tone bender things go, so Steve is one of the builders that Anthony Macari uses to create his specific tone bender. So I'll have a chat to Steve and see what he thinks. But there's definitely...
This was one of the favourite things I'd heard of yours. Do you know what this is?
The Juju?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's like a hybrid tone bender.
Is it?
And it is just extraordinary.
That does sound incredible. That sounds incredible.
That pedal, though, the finish on it just kills me.
Yeah, it's really lovely.
It's beautiful.
It's almost like iridescent. I don't think I will go the tone bender route. However, Dan Drive sent us this, and a secret weapon, I think it is as well. And that is more,
Oh wow!
this is more the sort of zonk machine type thing, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, so cool.
Which is isn't
So
that the
cool.
same circuit? Is it the same circuit?
Yeah, it's a tone bender.
Yeah, I need to do some research because I don't understand where it all branches off. Anyway, yeah, we're getting some awesome trolling.
We are.
It's
Boy,
probably
oh boy.
it's probably time to go.
Yeah.
Right, everybody, stay safe.
Okay.
Do what the authorities tell you to do. However much
Yes.
you feel like not doing that. The social distancing thing seems to be really important, so please try and observe that, as Dan and I are. Stay safe, stay well.
Stay safe. Lots of love, everyone.
Yeah.
Take care of yourselves.
Play the guitar more.
Yeah, definitely. Just play some guitar, man. And just being locked away in my room for a couple of days, and I've been looking forward to spending this time to get the work on my EP and all that sort of stuff. And if you are at home and you've got a chance to pick up your guitar, it's great. Boy, oh boy, we've really been hit by it now.
Okay, and let's finish.
Okay.
Thanks,
Take it
BV,
easy,
for
everyone.
moderating. All right. See you guys.
Bye. I'm drowning.
How do I make it stop?
You got to walk behind the. There you go.